Calling to order the regular meeting of the Wheeling Plan Commission for Wednesday, September 8th, 2021. Please stand for the pledge. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blanova.
I'm here.
Commissioner Berkey.
Here.
Commissioner Sprague is here. Commissioner Yednak.
Here.
Commissioner Heiken.
Here.
Commissioner Riles.
Here.
Chairman Johnson.
Here. Ms. Nyes, any changes to the agenda tonight?
No changes.
All right. Citizens' concerns and comments. I don't think anyone signed up for that. Was anyone here just to make general comments, or you're all here for specific dockets? Okay. We have no consent items tonight, so we'll get right into the items for review. And the first three are all involving Masters Countertops at 363 Alice Street. They had been continued from a previous meeting, and they're asking for a continuation again?
Yes, to October 13th.
October 13th, oh. All right. Then we will need a motion on each one and
Yes.
a roll call vote. So docket 2021-23A to be continued to October 13th.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Heiken.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Yednak.
Yes.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. Docket 2021-23B.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Yednak and who?
No, it was
Berkey.
Berkey?
Oh, was it Yednak? Can't hear with these partitions.
Yeah.
Commissioner Yednak.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Heiken.
Yes.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. And finally, docket number 2021-27.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Yednak.
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken.
Yes.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. All right. Docket number 2021-30, sign variation to approve 4 cabinet signs, 224 South Milwaukee Avenue. This was read into the record already, I believe, these variations?
No, we didn't open it yet.
Oh, we did not open it.
No, this was brought before as just a regular sign.
Oh, okay. All right, then. Go ahead, Mr. Secretary.
All right, Edward Shostovsky, property owner, seeks a variation from Title 21 signs of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 21.4, wall-mounted signs and associated sections to permit 4 cabinet wall signs, which are prohibited sign type in the B3 General Commercial and Office District for the property located at 224 South Milwaukee Avenue. A zoning variation is intended to be a method of adjustment to equalize regulations where the zoning code has created an unnecessary hardship. A variation is designed to allow affected property owners the same rights and privileges that others enjoy in the same zoning district. In order to be granted a variation, a petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at a public hearing that the request meets the standards of the village code, including but not limited to how their individual situation is unique or unusual. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that the request for variation meets the standards established in Title 21. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the Village Board.
Thank you. Ms. Nyes, anything before we go to the petitioner?
Just a little summary that the petitioner came before you on July 28th and requested that the sign be approved. And the Plan Commission directed him to come back for a variation. So he's now back to request a variation to permit all 4 cabinet wall signs. 1 currently exists, and the other 3 are not there yet. I've provided a timeline of the history of the signs in your staff report, and staff has proposed 2 conditions. The first one is that any new sign panels or faces shall consist of individual letters and not be film applied to the face of said panels. And the second condition is that the sign plan details with material specifications shall be submitted prior to permit approval.
Thank you. All right, sir, raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and business address for the record.
Edward Krastowski. The business, of course, is 224 South Milwaukee Avenue in Wheeling.
Thank you.
Take off the mask while you're talking so we can hear you better. Thanks.
All right, so we discussed some of this earlier. So give us an update on what you're looking for.
So what we'd really like to do is just be able to continue with the original plan of putting signs recessed between the columns of the building as we were originally intending to do back in 2012. And at the present time, I have a new tenant which would like to replace the existing panel that's there now in the sign that does exist. We've submitted the design of the sign, which would be consistent with the black background and white letters. I think in addition, what we'd like to have approval to do would be to continue with the polycarbonate panels with the applique. We've been doing that since the original sign, and it really gives the similar appearance of a routed aluminum panel. In any case, we still have to put something behind the letters. So as it turns out, the polycarbonate panel with the applique is still the kind of the most convenient and I think common way of producing these signs and allowing for the detail that the tenants would like to put in.
Okay, anything else?
I believe that would be, that would summarize it.
All right, we will get some commissioners involved here. Commissioner Yednick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a question that I guess was more for staff and legal was, how do we define the overall design, size, and location? Is the size not modified in any way? Because we were saying, but I guess if he's coming for a variance, that really doesn't apply, does it? Because, I mean, design, size, and location, to me, wouldn't necessarily mean the wording in the letters. But is supposed to include the wording in the letters? Or the logos, or?
I'm not sure what your question.
Well, it says, in one of the paragraphs in the staff report, it says that the adoption of new sign code regulations continue to prohibit cabinet box signs, allows for existing legal non-conforming signs to be maintained through painting, repairing, cleaning, or other normal maintenance of a sign, so long as the overall design, size, and location of the sign is not modified in any way. But I guess he's coming for a variance, so that wouldn't really apply in this situation. But it seems to me that that doesn't incorporate the logo or the lettering or the way the sign displays the lettering. I guess I'm thinking in a tenant situation, you're going to have them swapping in and out. So just changing the panel, is that included in that overall design, size, and location?
That's correct.
Yes, and that's kind of what we discussed the last time he was here on July 28th, and that's when the Plan Commission told him if he wants to do this.
Yeah, I know, now he's coming for a
It'd have to be a
variance, but I guess
variance.
if that's the, I guess I'm just generally, I think that's a little vague as far as the signing, because I tend to agree with the petitioner in that if you have a panel out there and it's a tenant occupied building, when you're swapping people in and out, it's much easier to swap out the panel as long as it's tastefully done. And I think the staff had, one question I had, but I think staff answered it just a minute ago, was that, are you planning 4 signs? Because right now there's only 1 sign. The 1 sign that's there, I do tend to agree with you that I think it goes with the architecture of the building. But since there's only 1 there, it kind of stands out like a sore thumb. So are you planning on putting up 4 cabinets?
Well, we had intended to leave that up to the tenants to decide whether they wanted to invest in the sign. We have everything roughed in and ready, but it's just a matter of purchasing of the sign and installation of it.
1 standalone to me doesn't, it looks out of place when you're saying that one of your arguments is that you want to, the design was originally approved and that was the intent and it goes between the columns. I do agree with that, provided that all 4 columns are occupied and signed. 1 standalone does look like a box sign that doesn't really blend in with the rest of the building then. So I think, was that a condition that you said earlier, Marks, you said that there was a timeline for installing?
There was a timeline for the history
Oh,
of,
for the case history, but not for installing the other signs then?
correct. It was my understanding that the application was for 4 signs.
I guess then I would vote that could be a condition to approve the variations so that we get uniformity in the building. Whether you put a black panel up there or, work with the tenants, however you want to. And then this is not a question, this is more a statement. I'm not really opposed to the film on the panels. I think the petitioner said last time, he's going to a professional sign company, and I tend to agree that, they're going to do things that are going to be tasteful. It's not going to look like, a 5-year-old's putting stickers up on the wall. So I guess I would prefer that we take that condition out if we approve the variation, but that's my opinion. I don't know what the rest of the panel feels, or the commission feels. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. Did you, I don't remember if we discussed it at the last meeting, did you look into having the individual letters that the staff was recommending?
Well, individual letters, if you're saying that each letter is a separate entity unto itself, I don't know that that would be possible on these signs if they have to be individually lit and wired. The intent was for a backlit sign presenting a uniform look across the entire panel. But of course, it does, I think, take on a look of being individual. Again, if these are to be individual in the sense that they're all individually lit and wired, and I'm not sure if that means to put them, secure them to the front face of the panel. I would have to probably look into, exactly what the individual sign specifics or individual lettering specifics would be. But honestly, this was really always kind of meant to be a panel flat against the building. Again, when we changed the sign as we did for this tenant, we did come to the village, of course, as part of the condition that whether it was part of the original condition or not, but we want to get the approval, the appearance approval of the signage. So no matter what we do, we're going to bring it into the village and seek, review and an approval. So I think that as long as we do that, we shouldn't be straying from, any of the appearance considerations that the village may have.
Do you know, does the sign company have any kind of process where they could mold or press letters into the film so that it would have more of a 3D effect?
Well, that very well may be. I have not gone to that degree of,
Because
detail.
something like that might satisfy the recommendations from the staff.
Right. I'm afraid that one of the things that it would do, though, is certainly change the cost for these panels. At the present time, these appliques seem to be, kind of in a nice range that, is not, especially for tenants that sign up for only a year or two of a lease and still would like the signage while they're there. So I'm afraid that they probably wouldn't even, they may not even consider the signage if it's going to be that more expensive than what they're at now.
Well, the only other thing, I agree with Commissioner Yednak as far as if we're going to allow this cabinet with the film in it, that the other spaces should also have the same type, so it all looks uniform and consistent.
I think that's a fair point, and in the meantime, as you mentioned, we could maybe put some panels up there that would be kind of a filler, that would be a black panel in the same location where a sign can go until such time a sign actually gets installed. I think that's a reasonable request.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Berkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have anything additional, but if we were to strike or eliminate the condition of having the individual letters, as Commissioner Yednak suggested, I would support that. And also what Commissioner Yednak and Commissioner Sprague also suggested about, again, having a uniform appearance for the places that are not being rented out. So that's all.
Commissioner Blanova.
No questions, sir.
Commissioner Heiken.
I'm in favor as well, as for the sake of consistency, to have all four of those. Otherwise, I have no other question.
So you're saying you'd like to see all four
Yes,
put up?
yes.
Commissioner Riles.
No other questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so originally you came to the village in like 2009, was it? And eventually got a permit in 2012 to put up one sign, correct?
One sign with, I believe the understanding was that we'd have future tenant signs as the tenants would install them.
Okay, so,
That particular plan sort of shows, again, the placeholders
right.
for the other three.
So here we are 9 years later, and in the meantime, the village sign code has changed. At our last meeting, I suggested that you go back to the sign company and to Mr. Handyman and see if something could be compromised on, where at least their name, maybe not their logo, but their name could get pushed out into a 3D thing. It sounds like you didn't pursue that. I was hoping we could, simplify their sign to the point where we could compromise and meet what the village is asking for and the needs of Mr. Handyman. Apparently, it turns out I was on the Plan Commission when the 2012 one was approved. And I'm not sure how that came about, but, because when was the sign code changed?
Cabinet signs have always been prohibited, even in 2012
Oh,
and 2009.
okay, so it was a variation of sorts at that time?
No, when it was approved with cut out, routed out letters.
Okay. So that was never enforced?
Correct. in 2012, the one sign was approved using vinyl letters.
Yeah.
So the sign was approved, but it didn't match the 2009, it didn't match this sign plan that's shown.
So the one you've got up there now called for,
Yeah, sorry, this should actually be the 2009 plan, not the 2012.
yeah, okay. So this is what got approved.
Correct.
Excuse me. Well, I wish we could come to a compromise on this so that we can get everything approved.
Can I comment on that?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner Yedlin.
I'm just wondering if, in my view, this is just my view, seem a compromise to me would be putting up the boxes on all 4 tenants so that we have uniform look at the building. And I'm personally okay with the applique, because I do tend to agree with the petitioner that the way the boxes are built and the way they were approved before, I don't understand how you would do individual lettering or individual logos without probably a significant cost. In this way, with a tenant situation, you can swap them out if you only had people there for a few years. I don't know if the compromise is just making sure we get uniformity across the building, but if the rest of the commission is opposed to the panels with the appliques, then I would be outvoted on that. Maybe that doesn't count as a compromise.
Thank you. I was thinking similar, that part of our compromise is you put up all 4, or you put up the additional 3, so that you don't have to come back here 9 years later and find out that we changed some codes again. Whether or not we just allow the vinyl applique is still debatable.
Do you want to take a poll on that to see what people's
Yes.
thoughts are on whether the film/vinyl is okay?
Yeah, we'll start with that, and then whether or not they should do all of them.
Oh, you install all of them within a certain time period?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we okay with just the vinyl applique for the original sign that's currently up there and the additional 3 that could be coming? Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Yednek?
Yes.
Commissioner Riles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
No.
Commissioner Sprague?
No, I'd like to see more depth to the sign.
As would I, but it's 4-3.
And then, so on
Okay.
the second question, the variation is for all 4 signs, so I would have more of a condition of a timeframe of installing the remaining 3. Since the petition before you was already for all 4,
Correct.
just having a timeframe.
And what would typically be a time frame for something like this? 1 year, 6 months?
I would say 1 year, maybe. Marcy, do you have any idea? I mean, if you're comfortable, if you got, whatever you guys are comfortable with, I'd say anywhere 6 months to a year, yeah.
I would say 6 months.
6 months, okay.
Okay. So, another poll. Do we say that the additional 3 signs that will all match the first one have to be installed within 6 months? Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Yednek?
Yes.
Commissioner Riles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague?
Yes.
And I say yes. Okay, so that will become a condition. You are getting the vinyl applique, but then we're asking that the other 3 signs get put in so everything matches. Because it's a good look. There's no doubt about it, but,
Thank you.
and you have to push your tenants to pay for some signage.
Give me 1 second.
Any other questions or comments from the commission on this? Okay, as soon as Marcy's done with the conditions.
So so then I need to remove the first condition?
Yes.
Yes.
So now the two conditions will be sign plan details and material specifications shall be submitted prior to permit approval. And number 2, the remaining 3 signs shall be installed within 6 months of permit approval.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Currently, we have a tenant, and we've submitted the plans that were part of this docket. Is that going to be pending, or can I tell the tenant that he can go ahead with that sign, or is that?
Oh, that sign could be modified now, or,
He still needs to submit a permit for the sign,
For just the signage, that would be
Yes.
the, okay,
but it has to show the vinyl letters,
the final plan?
the vinyl.
Yes, okay. So I will instruct him that he'll have to get his sign company to provide a sort of a proof submittal on the material and the graphics.
yes.
Great,
Correct.
okay.
But I think we still need a vote.
So that probably has to be a separate condition spelling that out, right?
No, because that's just a regular permit requirement.
Okay. Okay, so with those conditions, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Got it?
Commissioner Yednak,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes, Commissioner Heiken,
Yes.
Commissioner Riles,
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. All right,
I will follow up with you regarding the board meeting.
All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks for coming back.
we need a motion to close this docket 2021-30.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes, Commissioner Heiken,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Yednak,
Yes.
Commissioner Riles,
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, can I just provide a point of clarification
Yes.
to Commissioner Yednick's question about the sign code? The sign code does explicitly state that loss of nonconforming status, that a sign will lose its legal nonconforming status if the sign is altered in any way in structure or sign copy, except for the changeable copy
Okay,
signs.
all right.
So it
That
does.
wasn't a quote from the.
Yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
quoted directly in the staff report, but that is what the sign code
Great,
says.
great,
So
thank you.
just
That-
want a point of clarification on that.
That's clear then, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, docket number 2021-32, special use for an adult day services facility, Medtec Healthcare and Private Duty, LLC, 1400 South Wolf Road, building number 200, suites 207 and 219. Mr. Secretary?
Medtec Healthcare and Private Duty, LLC, leasee, seeks a special use as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-07, Industrial Districts, Chapter 19-10, Use Regulation, and associated sections to permit an adult day service facility, Medtec Healthcare Super Senior Center, in the I-1 Light Industrial and Office District for the property located at 1400 South Wolf Road, Building 200, Suites 207 and 219. A special use is defined in the zoning code as a use of parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to the potential for negative impacts on surrounding properties. In order to be considered for a special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at a public hearing that the request meets the standards of the village code, including but not limited to how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that the request meets the standards for a special use as established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the Village Board.
Thank you. Ms. Nyes, anything on this?
Just briefly, the petitioner is here for a special use that's required for an adult day services facility. So you can see here, we've seen this property before. This is going to be located in Building 200, which is the top building here. And their parking area would be in this northeast corner. And it's a pickup program, and they're expecting a total of 12 company vehicles that are going to be parked and stored, and an additional 17 personal vehicles. And staff does find that parking to be sufficient. And there are no exterior changes proposed. Everything else is interior. And you have a floor plan in your packet for review. And I'm going to have Mallory explain the legalities of the RPZ zone and the FAA.
Okay, so this is a little bit unique, and I know that there's an attachment of this hold harmless agreement. So this property is located within 500 feet of the runway protection zone transition area for runway 6. Runway 6 is in the process of being decommissioned, and we've gotten firm commitment from Chicago Executive Airport that it's will be decommissioned within the next couple years. So we felt based on that this property is going to, as a result, fall out of that 500 feet distance requirement. So rather than make the tenant and the landlord wait an additional 2 years to allow this use in, that we would allow them to proceed with their special use application because really this limitation is no longer going to apply. Also, we did have them agree and sign the hold harmless agreement, and what that is, the purpose of that is that we are, there's the FAA, they have rules on congregate areas and runway protection zones as well. However, they only regulate properties owned by the airport authority itself and not private entities, and have issued advisory opinions. It's on their website and everything that, that they don't enforce it against a private owner. We've had a similar use in this, I believe even in this building that went through, we had similar condition. All this agreement says is that if for some very unlikely reason the runway decides not to be decommissioned, or if the FAA changes its policy and does start enforcement actions, that the village has made no promises, or they're doing it at their own risk, that those small chances could occur, and that the village would not be liable for anything associated with allowing them to go through the special use process. That's all it is. It's just a protection, like kind of at your own risk agreement for the tenant, and they're very small risks based on our history with these properties and our confirmation that this runway is going to be decommissioned, so it will most likely be a moot point in the very near future. I can answer any other questions you may have, but that is the purpose of that agreement.
Thank you. Hi. Please raise your right hand. This is a public hearing. You swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
I do.
And please state your name and business address for the record.
Sure. My name's Shawan Chung, and I work for Medtec Healthcare, and we're located at 9242 Waukegan Road in Morton Grove.
Thank you. All right, you have a presentation for us?
Sure. Well, thank you all for taking the time and for considering our special use permit. We here at Medtec are very excited about the opportunity to open another adult daycare center in the village of Wheeling. So I have a couple prepared remarks. The first is really explaining what we do with adult daycare. Adult daycare centers provide a community of friends and enable seniors to continue living independently. And we offer social and enrichment activities that really allow that engage our members, their minds, their spirits, and really allows folks who are senior and living oftentimes alone to continue to live independently. And in terms of what we do, we pick up our seniors in the morning. They arrive at the center at 8:30. They have breakfast, and we have a lot of activities that are offered, everything from group activities like line dancing to music lessons to light exercise classes like yoga and other things like that, as well as lifelong learning. We offer language classes, we talk about current events, and we do crafts and games, art projects, bingo, things like that. In addition, we have a nurse on staff, so we make sure that we don't offer medical care, but if people need prescriptions, we monitor people to make sure that they're healthy. We do health screenings. Our meals are approved by a nutritionist who's on staff. They're catered in, but we make sure that they get a nice breakfast, a nice lunch, and a nice snack, and then we bring them home at 2:30. And adult daycare is something that has a lot of benefits to both seniors, their families, and really the community at large. For seniors, it allows seniors to live independently for longer. There's countless studies that have shown that when the longer seniors can live independently, live in their homes, live in their communities, there's just much better physical, mental, and emotional health outcomes. And we also, keep them engaged, and we prevent loneliness. There was actually a study that was done, I think last year, that showed that after 1 month of adult day, there was a precipitous improvement in things like depression, loneliness, feelings of well-being among seniors. And it builds connectivity, right? A lot of these seniors are lonely, especially during the day if they're living alone or they're living with family members who have to work. And to that, it really helps a lot of these families that have a senior living at home that they can go to work and they know that their parent or their uncle is being cared for. And it allows them to either take a break or go to work or do whatever they need during the day. And the last thing is it reduces healthcare costs overall, right? When you have folks that live longer, more fulfilling lives that are healthier, there are fewer emergency room visits, fewer issues, and fewer medical problems that come up. And also, it allows them to live, independently and not in nursing homes, which are at a much higher cost to the system. And this is especially true now, given just demographic changes with an aging population. So specific to Medtec, the next slide, please. Okay. Thank you. Basically, we currently operate 3 centers. One in Chicago, kind of near the edge of the northern edge of Lakeshore Drive. We operate one in Mount Prospect, and we actually operate one just down the road on Dundee and Wheeling. And our clients are a mix of private pay, insured, but we also have a lot of low-income seniors who are part of the Illinois Department of Aging Community Care Program. These are seniors who really are underserved, that really need a lot of help. And these are folks that are supported by these programs run by the state, and we are able to work closely with the IDOA. They're a very close partner of ours. We're certified by the Illinois Department of Aging. They inspect and monitor our programs to make sure that we're doing things the right way. And we're also, our organization is also certified by the Illinois Department of Public Health. Though we have 3 centers, the one that we're hoping to open on Wolf Road is going to be the crown jewel. It's a beautiful location. It's going to be our largest center. And, I just also want to make clear that we intend to keep the existing center on Dundee Open. We recently just got approved to be a provider for the VA, and we're hoping to use that center to serve, both the general population as well as veterans who need care like this. So really appreciate the time and would love to answer any questions that you all may have.
Okay, thank you, very good. Let's start with Commissioner Riles.
I'm just a little curious, what's the capacity? How many seniors will you guys be?
In Wolf Road?
Yeah.
So this is all pending what the fire marshal say, and we'll obviously abide by that. But we just based on square footage, we're thinking of up to 112 seniors with about 16 staff members serving them.
And so is that like a daily, weekly?
Daily.
Daily?
Yes.
And you're going to pick them up in your vehicles?
Yes.
And that's the number of 12, is that?
12. So they're kind of full, it's a mix of cargo vans and minivans. So it's usually, I think we're thinking about 6 kind of passenger vans, full-size passenger vans, like Ford Transit type, and then 3 minivans.
Okay. And is it 7 days a week? Is it Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday?
Yep.
8:30 to 2:30?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And our staff usually gets there an hour before to prepare, and they usually leave, sometime between 3:30 to 4.
Okay. Okay. No further questions.
Commissioner Heiken.
I have no questions other than thank you for the important process that's, a lot of people overlook the importance of adult daycare. So, and I'm glad you're keeping the other one open as well, so thank you.
Commissioner Blanova.
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Berkey.
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening.
Good evening.
I was looking at your floor plan. I'm curious and was wondering, there's 12 office spaces. Are those just there because
So
that's what was there, or are you planning on having 12 offices?
no, so those they may be mislabeled.
Yeah.
So we will need to have an office for the staff to operate.
Mm-hmm.
We will need to have a nurse's office, but those kind of offices are going to be, one will be a quiet room, right, for seniors that need to rest,
Okay.
need a quiet area, and then the others will be kind of activity classrooms to do crafts or music lessons or stuff like that. So it's not going to be a mixed-use office space. It's really a place that's going to be dedicated to seniors. We will have to have a limited amount of office space for the nurse and for staff, but that's really 2 offices.
Okay. You have a room marked warming room. I was curious what that actually is.
Is it the warming kitchen, perhaps?
Okay.
Is that the one, it's on the right-hand side, kind of?
For preparing, yeah.
So we get food that's catered, and we need to keep it at a certain temperature to make sure that it's safe.
Okay.
That's what it's used for.
Great. You were explaining about picking up the seniors and then bringing them to your business. Will you also allow individuals to drop off their family members? Or
I
is
guess-
it only delivery?
I guess that is an option, but right now, in our 3 centers, we don't have any that do that. All of them take us up on the offer to pick them up.
It's all pickup?
Yes.
Because the reason why I asked that is I was just concerned about whether you have a dedicated spot for dropping off the senior.
Yeah, so if you look at the satellite picture, actually, if you look on the northwest side, do you see that parking lot kind of that juts in there? That actually leads directly to the center.
Okay.
At the top. So it's really a 20-foot walk from that drop-off center to a door, and there's a very gradual ramp. It's probably a total elevation of a foot or so. So that would probably be our primary drop-off point.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Yednek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for considering expansion in Wheeling. I appreciate it. I get ribbed that I'm a wordsmith or an editor or whatever. I wanted to give you, since it's part of the record, I just want to clarify one of your questions to statement 2, where you said about altering the essential character of the area, you said it in no way will not impede.
Sorry.
So you got a double negative, so
Sorry about that.
I'm assuming you really mean you're not going to impede.
That's correct.
Okay, I didn't want to, make sure you didn't want to slip something in. And then this question I think is for staff. Is this the one, the building that was rezoned a while ago? Okay, because,
Yes.
okay, the zoning drawing I think was, still showed it split up, so, okay, so now this one. And then this question is for legal, about the release. Should it be a condition that the clients and their families be notified of the release? Because I'm not sure if I guess the purpose of the zone is in case there's any airport accidents, I'm assuming, right? And that's why they want a safe zone within that space?
Likely, that's the reason, yeah.
So I'm just wondering, can the petitioner be signing off for their clients? I mean, if it's a company and they're all the company employees in there, but in this case, you're going to have outside clients, should they be notified that they're indemnified or that they're prohibited from doing general suit, or are they even prohibited then, I guess?
This is just more if some kind of enforcement action is taken against the applicant to close their facility down by the FAA or by the village because it violates, not if an accident occurred. The village would be outside of the scope of that anyways, just because it gave zoning approval is not.
So this is not a release where like they're saying that because we let them build there, they can't turn around, if there was an accident, they can't turn around and sue the village? It's not that kind of a release?
It's not the intent, it's more of like a risk aspect. It might cover them, like they couldn't come, the company couldn't come after the village or that kind of claim, and it would cover the people there, but we would be protected under any circumstance.
I guess just in general then, do you think there's any need that the clients and their families should be notified about the release? Since it's part
If
of-
they, I mean, if the company feels they need to notify the clients, they can, it's not really.
I'm not
within
looking for the
village.
company, I'm looking for the village perspective. Does the village, is the village
No,
have any concern in that area?
I don't believe we do.
no, because, yeah, the village wouldn't get involved in other similar kind of things.
Well, but I'm thinking if there was an accident and one of the clients' families, there was tragedy and somebody came out and tried to say the village should have never let us build there, the family could still come after the village and say, you should have never, you knew this was a zone, the village shouldn't let it happen, where our release is between the village and the petitioner, not the clients. That's why I'm just wondering, are they signing off the client's rights?
No, they're not signing off the client's rights, but, I mean, I'd have to look at it again to see if it would cover them indemnifying them, the village, for potentially.
Because then I also noticed that the indemnification paragraph was struck.
Right, the indemnification, but the above release from liability covers similar things, it just would not include any indemnification. I mean, we would have significant other defenses from a legal aspect, but, so it's not something I'm.
Okay, I'm not a lawyer, I don't
Yeah.
play one on TV. I just don't know if, I know that one party can't sign off on other party's rights, and unless, the clients were notified that you have this, minuscule risk, and you have to agree to be a client here, that you're not going to sue the village if there was an accident or something. I'm just trying to think in terms of the village.
I just don't know if we can bind all of the clients through a special use application.
And it's definitely outside the purview of this commission.
Well, it's in front of us, though, I guess. Okay, then, just a thought. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. I think my questions have been answered, other than what area do you cover?
We actually, Adult Day is part of our services. We also offer in-home services as well, where home care aide comes into the home. And we serve the greater Chicagoland area. I mean, everywhere from Will and DuPage County up to Lake County, and the city itself. So we have over 1,000 clients total in our business. So we are really kind of dedicated to serving our mission, which is helping seniors in this area.
I assume you have certain routes that your 12 vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there are folks that some live in apartment complexes, and we try to recruit clusters of people and stuff like that.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Look to my left. Nope. All right. Okay. Marcy, do we have any conditions on this?
Yes, we just have the one condition that the petitioner shall adhere to the stipulations of the release, hold harmless, and indemnification agreement dated August 20th, 2021.
All right, then I need a motion to approve docket 2021-32.
So moved.
Second.
Got it, Berkey?
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes, Commissioner Jednak,
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken,
Yes.
Commissioner Riles,
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. All right.
Okay, I will follow up with you regarding the village board meeting.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good luck and thank you.
And now I need a motion to close 2021-32.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes, Commissioner Jednak,
Yes.
Commissioner Riles,
Yep.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. All right, next up, docket number 2021-31, the text amendments to Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code in order to modify zoning regulations regarding fences and screening. Ms. Nyes.
Hello. So this public hearing was opened on August 25th, 2021. And in your packet, we've outlined the 8 top points that I think outlined what some of the issues were and how they've been addressed. So I'm going to go over those. In general, staff has revised the text amendments overall based on the feedback from that August 25th meeting, as well as feedback received at the joint meeting with the village board on September 1st. We do believe that the document before you addresses the main concern that staff was directed to address, which was to eliminate the need for a variance when a resident wants to install a 6-foot fence in the front side yard of their corner lot. Staff was asked to do this due to the overwhelming number of variance requests received from residents. So our overall goal was to do a general cleanup of this section of the ordinance and to address that specific variation. We've revised the definitions for decorative fence and solid fence and also added a new definition for landscape screen. So the decorative fence is now defined as having more than 30% of the surface open, where solid fences have less than 30% of the surface open. So based on this, a chain link fence would be classified as a decorative fence just based on the open space. The fence placement diagram's been updated to better illustrate the location where a type A and type B fence can be located. Based on direction from the village board at the September 1st joint meeting, staff has reverted back to the current regulations regarding the location of chain link fences. So that is not part of our text amendment anymore. We're just going to focus on cleaning up the text and addressing the specific variation that we were asked to address, which is the corner lot requesting a 6-foot fence in the front side yard. We've also added some language to clarify that in single-family zoning districts, existing accessory structures, including fences and landscape screens, are permitted to be replaced like for like as determined by the zoning administrator. The term natural fence was removed after discussion at the last Plan Commission meeting, and a new term, landscape screen, has been added. We've added language to address the concern of vegetation extending into the sidewalk. So the general requirement has been added that states landscape screens shall be maintained to prevent growth beyond the property line and shall not obstruct any portion of the public right-of-way. The intent of this is to be able to maintain the landscaping if it becomes a nuisance. It is not the intent to regulate landscaping. So this just gives staff the ability to use code enforcement actions if the vegetation becomes an issue. The allowance of barbed wire fences in industrial districts has gone back. We just increased the height of the fence from a minimum of 5 feet to a minimum of 6 feet. A new graphic has been added to illustrate the front plane of a house and the rear plane of a house. We added some language. We had some discussion at the August 25th Plan Commission meeting regarding only having one accessory structure on a property, so that wouldn't allow a fence and an accessory structure like a shed. So now the language has been reformatted so that the limitation only applies to accessory structures and is not applicable to fences and landscape screens. And the last one was a clarification about the small plastic sheds we discussed at the last Plan Commission meeting. So the existing exemption of the code continues. Structures less than 120 square feet are exempt from the accessory structure regulation. And since these sheds are exempt, they are not subject to the 10-foot separation requirement. So back to the main ask of us was somebody who lives on a corner lot, has 2 front yards, and wants to put a fence on the corner side yard. Lots of these people that own these types of lots were coming in for variance requests, and so we were directed to do a text amendment to solve this issue. We understand we went a little bit beyond that, so we've pulled that back to primarily address this situation. The proposed text amendments will cover more than 90% of that situation. So here's the revised table. Now the shaded area shows where a type A fence can be permitted, or where only a type A fence can be permitted. A type A fence could go anywhere. So a type A fence is a 4-foot tall decorative fence or a landscape screen. It was also clarified that in the vision triangle, they can only be 3 feet tall. A type B fence, which I'll tell you the definitions in a second, can be at this front plane of the house and in the white area. So the type B fences, oh, here we go. No, we didn't specify. Here we go. The type B fences, there were 2 types. The one type is the main issue we're trying to address here. It's where the corner side yard, if we're talking about this property owner, he's on a corner. He has 2 front yards. Oops, the bottom's cut off, sorry. 2 front yards, and he's in a rear yard to rear yard situation. And they want to add a fence to their side yard. So in this situation, they can bring their fence out to the street at 6 feet in height, but it has to be, this piece of their fence has to be at the back corner and cannot come any further forward. Can start at the back corner and go to the back of the lot. And it can go anywhere where these dashed lines are.
It looks a little misleading because it looks like you can go out to the street.
Okay, can I just get through this first?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And then for the second one, this is the same corner situation, but this person has a rear yard against a side yard. So his side corner yard can go from the back of his house to his lot line. I mean, it's just the back of his house, but can't go past the front plane of his house. Doesn't matter what's going on with the neighbor here. It's all related to their subject house. So their back corner of their house and cannot pass the front plane of their house. So there's where their type B fence can go. And I don't know if I have anything. Oh, the only other things we had were the 2 diagrams showing the front plane of the house in the back plane of the house, and just showing if someone had a house on an angle, that front plane follows the, front plane of their house, and that's where their fence would follow, but it doesn't affect the neighbor. And then the updated definition of accessory structure and accessory use did not change, but the definitions for decorative fence and solid fence did change, as I noted earlier, and landscape screen was included, and it means the use of natural vegetation, such as shrubs, hedges, conifers, and similar plantings intended to achieve the effects of a fence. Again, we're not asking people to get fence permits for landscaping. The intent of putting anything about landscaping in the code is to be able to enforce it when it becomes a nuisance. And with that, I will take your questions.
All right, Commissioner Yednick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I just want to say thanks to staff for going back and making all the revisions, and my opinion, it seems to be much clearer, more user-friendly. I appreciate all the work you guys did with it, and like you said, it looks like it addresses all the questions that we had, or the comments, including both meetings. I'm bummed about chain link fences, but I would lose that one at the village board. So the other thing that I just saw when I went through the new ones, I didn't really have any other questions, but as I was reading through it, it brought up a question in that on page 2 of the draft, and I think it's paragraph 2D, where it talks about accessory structures, accessory uses in industrial zoning districts and accessory uses, the limitations on the size. Does that apply to the item that's on our docket for master countertops? Maybe that might even be existing code. I'm wondering if we have to keep that in mind when we review the master
No, because
counter.
they're doing a building addition.
I thought they're
That's
calling
not
it,
an
no, it's a
accessory.
separate, is it addition?
That's an
Addition.
addition.
Oh, because, oh, that's right, it's an expand, never mind. Oh, originally I thought it was just an extra building, but it was, that's right, it's attached to the existing buildings. Never mind, that doesn't apply. That's all I have, and thanks again for all the work you guys did on it.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, thanks for the revision. It is much clearer. I just wanted to clear up a question in my own mind here. On the draft, in the drawing, on section 2, where you talked about the house on the corner that would have a side yard connected to its rear yard.
This
Are
one?
you with me so far?
She's
The one
trying to
that's up?
find the example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know we originally were talking that corner house would have to get a variance because of the house in between. That's been taken care of by allowing them only to go straight back like that?
Correct. If they wanted their fence to come out
Yeah.
to the street, they would still need to get a variance.
Right, okay.
Because then we have to look at the sight lines.
Right. Okay.
So
That's
this
all I
is the
have.
small percentage that isn't wrapped into getting covered.
Great. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Berkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions. I'll echo everyone else's statement. This is crystal clear, and thank you for putting this together.
All right, Commissioner Blanova.
Thank you. No, I don't have any questions. I personally don't think there's anything decorative in a chain link fence, but especially on the front, but I guess there's nothing we can do about it. Too late.
Commissioner Heiken.
I have no questions.
Commissioner Riles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the improvements and everything as far as what was put together. But I do have a question regarding the, I guess, the shrubbery as a form of a fence. And I think it was described as becoming a nuisance. How is that defined? If I have shrubbery or bushes or whatever as a fence, right? how does one determine what a nuisance is regarding that?
If it's extending into the right-of-way. If it's extending off your property.
So like you can't walk down the sidewalk because you have to get around a bush that's overgrown into the sidewalk. Or
There's a house that I live by where I walk my dog, where their bush covers probably 3/4 of the.
Sure. Right. I mean, that's why I asked, because I've walked along the road and there, it's trees or whatever overhanging, forces you around. So, and the homeowner may feel that it's not a nuisance. So that's one of the questions that kind of formed.
A tree that's overhanging branches would likely not fall under the landscape screen definition because it's not being used to achieve the effects of a fence, but it would be under other code enforcement aspects.
Sure, yeah. I just used that as an example.
Yeah.
I just wondered, where's that determination? Because the homeowner may feel,
Right, if it's interfering with the use of the public right-of-way, which is for public use, then the
Sure.
village can issue a citation.
Sure.
But
for
it
that.
would take somebody
To complain.
from the neighborhood to make
Sure,
a complaint.
right.
The village is not going to go around
Right,
looking for
right.
that stuff.
no, that's the question that
Yep.
came up, and just a little bit clarity is all. But
No problem.
it's common sense, I would guess.
Or
But thank
get
you.
your battery-operated hedge trimmer when you're walking around.
Thank you.
Okay, I had one question on the plastic sheds, and I was hoping somebody from the fire department would be here. So I would just ask staff to check with them as far as clearance from the primary structure, because these do typically contain gas cans and whatnot, and I thought that fire code set a minimum spacing on those.
Okay.
And then I was also thinking about the chain link fence thing. If they decide to put those slats in, it goes from a open fence to a closed fence. Those plastic or metal slats that we've had come before us.
I think you can still see through those.
Yeah, but not 30%. I mean, that would cut it down to below 30%, I'm sure.
I mean, those slats are pretty transparent, no?
No, not the ones that the rental place wanted to put up. But just
Oh,
something to
that-
keep in mind. I mean, it
That
doesn't
doesn't really
matter.
change anything.
No, it doesn't matter with the code, but chain link could be either or. And I certainly wouldn't call it decorative. But so be it. Okay, any other questions from the commission? That way, that way. All right, then let's have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Was that,
I believe it was Yednek and Eichen.
Commissioner Yednak?
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumenova?
Yes?
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Riles?
Yes.
Chairman Johnson?
Yes. Marcy, you'll get in touch with Marcy and,
Yes, I will get in touch with myself about that. My computer just shut down on me, okay. Okay.
All
Yes,
right.
that'll go to the board.
and we need a motion to close 2021-31.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Blumenova?
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Yednak?
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Riles?
Yes.
Chairman Johnson?
Yes. Okay, we have approval of minutes of the regular meeting of August 25th, 2021, including the findings of fact for 2021-31, Part 1.
With one correction?
Correct.
Thanks. So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Yadnak?
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes?
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Riles?
Yes?
Chairman Johnson?
Yes. All right. Other business.
I do have other business.
Well, then, take it away, Ms. Nyes.
Okay. So Walmart came before you a few months ago with their plan to move their pickup parking, or pickup for their,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. So the plan that they submitted, it was thrown back to staff to do the approval for the sign, the pedestrian sign, and these bollards that were going to come back in. So here's the overall plan on the left. And then if you look at this cloud, I've blown it up on the right side. So they're going to add bollards all the way to the pedestrian striped area. And then there's currently a sign, a pedestrian sign located right where my cursor is. And they had initially said they were going to replace that pedestrian sign with an edge-lit LED solar flashing stop sign. So here's what the stop sign looks like today. And here's what they're proposing now, which is to add a post and a solar-powered beacon on the top. So I wanted to get your opinion on the left side, which is an edge-lit pedestrian sign. And don't look at like the monument or anything. We're just looking at an edge-lit sign versus a regular pedestrian sign with a beacon on top that would have a flashing sign. Neither of these are pedestrian activated. They're LED, so they're just gonna go on at night. So I wanted to get your opinion if you cared for one versus the other.
Okay, this is a left or right poll on these polls. Commissioner Heiken.
I really have no preference to either. I think I like the edge-lit sign better.
Commissioner Berkey.
I like the edge-lit sign better.
Commissioner Yednick.
No opinion. I guess I'd have to see the actual, probably the edge-lit seems more highlighted, so if I would lean towards that.
So which one? The edgelit?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Riles.
I like the edge-lit sign.
And Commissioner Blanova.
Beacon?
And Commissioner Sprague.
Left, edge-lit.
And I would go with the edgelit too.
Thank you. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
That's your new business? Do we have any new openings to report?
There's been a lot coming through and processing, but nothing to report that has officially opened.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully, in 2 weeks, I'll have more to report.
All right. Any new business down to my right?
None for me, thank you.
Nothing here.
On a lighter note, I've always been puzzled by how Secretary Sprague does his roll call. One time I thought it was alphabetical, but then it's not. Is it seniority? I don't.
It's how it's listed on here.
Okay, all right. Well, nothing interesting then. I thought I thought you were tracking seniority or.
No, the motion in a second.
I know that part.
Go and then it's just the order that the.
Okay.
This is list is in.
Used to be alphabetical, but
Okay.
with the revolving door we've had,
Well, yeah, now that we have a full commission, I was wondering,
Yeah.
it almost seemed like it was seniority tonight, after the motion and the second, but I wasn't sure.
any new business down at this end?
Just want to add real quick, not necessarily new business, but I do want to add that, I guess the Rockin' the Runway,
Yes.
the celebration, unfortunately did get an opportunity to attend, but I've seen video and I understand the fireworks display was second to none. It's probably the best that Wheeling has ever displayed for the residents. And I thought that was a very commendable act on the behalf of the village overall.
Yeah, it did go pretty good. Anything else down here? Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one item. And it's to congratulate Commissioner Belanova on 5 years on the commission.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I can't believe I forgot.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, it's been 5
That's all I have.
You get that big bonus paycheck now. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.